So when we talk about how you grow the chamber, you guys have specific growth goals.
We do.
When you look at what makes you successful in growing this chamber over the past nearly decade now, what have been the biggest keys to your success?
It is feedback. It's constant feedback, monitoring. First of all, are they renewing their membership? But it's keeping in touch with them throughout the year so that we know what they want and constantly adjusting. So listening to feedback, surveying, and then responding.
Gotcha. And have you developed like a list of measurements that you guys track internally?
We do. It's called Key Performance Indicators, KPIs. Okay. We absolutely track that every single month, everything from your financial statements and just putting them in a nice graph chart so we all can take a look at it, but taking a look at that retention and then new membership growth.
Gotcha. And what do you have certain things that you do when you see one of those dipping?
Absolutely. It's, again, touching base, getting feedback, and responding.
Gotcha. Is there one of those that you've really seen in the past, maybe a couple of years, that has really jumped up or really dipped down and you had to make some big adjustments on?
No, it's been more slow and steady growth upwards, or sometimes a dip down, but not any big swings. We've been more just that consistent year after year after year. Just keep doing it better.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So what channels do you use to market the chamber?
I would say that that's probably we are not as good as I would like, but at this point we still use newspaper, and we find that the businesses do like to have newspaper.
Really?
And I know a lot of people think that newspaper's gone away. It has not. And I can go out in the industrial manufacturing area and see community newspapers, the Times, or our own Tualatin Life on the entry tables all around the businesses. So they're looking at it. They're using it for coupons. They're absolutely sharing it in their lobbies. Then social media has become an increasingly important platform, and I boost ads, and I also do advertising on it, mostly Facebook. We do some Instagram, some LinkedIn, and those are becoming more important to us. And then finally, our email marketing campaign, targeted email marketing campaign to specific niches of people.
Gotcha. So you guys have kind of a robust, wide marketing channel setup.
It is wide. That's what I'm seeing. It seems like you need to hit more different kinds of media if you're going to.
Yeah.
The old days, you would pick one and go for it. I don't think that works as well today.
Which of those channels do you find most effective at either retention or driving new memberships or new prospects in the door?
I think for events, it would be social media.
Okay.
For membership retention and driving people through the door, I really believe it's targeted email.
Excellent. So if someone's not doing that and they're looking to promote an event, and you're not on Facebook promoting it, there's a problem.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And what techniques or what systems are you using to measure the effectiveness of those individual segments that you're using?
Well, on the targeted email, it's easy because you can have your click rates and your open rates. So if we get above 30%, we feel like, okay, that's pretty effective. And then on Facebook, you can analyze it forwards and backwards. They give you plenty of tools to look at, your reach and your likes and your, each of the components. So I think Facebook's real easy to get measurements off of.
Excellent. So I guess as we look at other sides of marketing, you guys have a pretty big database.
We do.
And that's a pretty central part to what the chamber does and how it communicates. Where is that database taking you from, and where are you ultimately trying to get to with that?
Our database it's your gold. I mean, it is your future. Keeping it current is a constant challenge, and I think with most small businesses, it would be probably the #1 challenge that they have. And as we saw the uptick in the economy, we noticed that many, many people were leaving their existing jobs, moving on to other jobs because they could trade up for a higher wage. And so staying on top of that database is just every day. And we all make it a priority that we're constantly updating it. The minute you get a new contact in an organization, you better be sharing it with the group, and you better be checking off to make sure that everything has been updated. And my goal for this organization in the next year is to have one database that we all can access that would update all platforms that we're utilizing. That would be so beneficial.
So right now, do you guys automate anything?
Very little.
Okay.
Most of it is done through good old-fashioned input.
Okay, and that's great.
And 5 different databases. I mean, from your Outlook to your email marketing campaign tool to what we use as Chamber Master that funnels in all of our income and our back-end website and QuickBooks. Every single piece has to be input manually.
So when we talk about marketing, a big part of that is your team. And I've experienced, it's a big part of how you run your team. So how do you really architect and control the culture of your guys' team in regards to marketing?
We really sit down every single week and take a look at what's going on in the organization, what kind of feedback's coming in, and then we talk about how we're going to go about it. I think a lot of managers in my generation might be looking from the top and flowing down. I really respond to the bottom flowing up and try to operate that way. So if I have our program coordinator sharing information, we all need to hear about it. We need to talk about what's our strategy, and then we need to put it out to the organization. What we also have that many organizations don't have is an incredibly engaged membership. And they tell us they're volunteering. We have a volunteer board. We have volunteer committees. That feedback is incredibly useful for helping us create the culture that we want. And then that culture just spreads. It spreads like wildfire. I mean, when you're positive, it goes out and people catch it and they want to be a part of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So as a nonprofit, you've got some more interesting dynamics, right? Because you not only have your staff,
Right.
but then you also have a board of directors.
Correct.
How are you dealing, or how do you manage, or how do you relate to that board side of things as opposed to just the staff side of things?
Do you know, it's a constant challenge for them and staff. What is the role and responsibility? And we spend a lot of time talking about that. And it can, swing from a rubber stamp all the way to, you might even say, meddling. I mean, that is the 2 ends of the spectrum, and our goal is to make sure we're having good, clear conversations so that we are utilizing the talents of the people around the board. They were each selected because of their voice and their talent, and we want to make certain that we're utilizing that, because I don't have all the skills we need to run an organization, and neither does our staff. But when you add up everybody involved, we've got plenty of skills available.
Gotcha. So it's really that sum being greater than each part.
Absolutely.
And so that really, it's how you've architected and put that team together.
Not easy. It's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's talk about some small business stuff. You're around this, you're in this all the time. What would you say the biggest reason that you see is that a small business doesn't succeed?
Number one, they're not willing to adapt. The market is changing. It's incredibly complicated. And unless you're willing to go with that change and embrace it and identify the key elements, you're not going to survive.
So what would kind of be your best tip then, or best piece of advice for a small business in this current climate?
Talk to your customers. Listen to your customers, and then respond to your customers. And sometimes that answer is, no, I can't do it. And that's okay, because if you're honest with them, they'll understand. But having that direct conversation, don't shy away from it.
You guys do a lot to grow small businesses. What do you think the biggest reason a small business is growing right now?
I think because they have gotten in and they've discovered that there was something missing in the market, and they figured, I can fill it better. I can provide that opportunity that somebody else forgot about or never saw before.
Yeah.
They're innovative. I love the creative side. I had a young salesperson come in and he's like, I want to call on larger companies, but I don't know how to get through the gatekeeper. I don't know how to get through the door. And so our suggestion is join a committee, get to know some of the mid-sized folks that are working with that community, and partner with them, share. Let them get to know you, let them get to trust you, and then start sharing some resources. Or volunteer on the golf team. We get a lot of the industrial manufacturing folks come to the golf tournament that we put on every year with the Tualatin High School packbackers. And it's an opportunity to get to know those people without having to invest a lot of money, because a lot of the young people don't have that yet.
Right.
So volunteer.
it sounds like one of the things the Chamber does best is help people create strategic partnerships.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about how you encourage and how you push people to make those partnerships?
Just creating the opportunities and then letting them know that you can start slowly, pick one, don't go to everything, but try a couple of different things to see if there's some kind of a fit. If there's not a fit, come back and talk to staff and say, this isn't working for me. Do you have any ideas? Talk to a few other people that you've admired, that you've seen within the organization, and get to know them. We all do business with somebody we know, like, and trust.
Right. Well, excellent. Last piece of advice, as you look at kind of this whole landscape that we've talked about, what's the one thing you want someone to walk away with saying, hey, this is the one thing I'm going to change in my business today?
I think it truly is about having that heart to serve your customer, your client, your member. And for us, once we understand what that member is really asking for, it's easy. But I think for those small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, they all have to do that. They have to look in the mirror and say, what is it they want, and are we able to fulfill it?
That's great.
Seems simple.
Yeah.
But
well, thank you for joining me for this growth prep talk. I look forward to sitting down with you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure.